Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to yet another episode of CxO Tech Talks on CxO Global TV. CxO Global Forum is a knowledge-sharing platform for all C-levels across the globe. We take massive pride in contributing to the knowledge economy with our thought leaders, our members, our industry experts, domain experts, and the movers and shakers of the corporate industry globally. We have also been contributing significantly to industry-academia linkages as well as public-private partnerships. Our focus is on technology, innovation, disruption, and just intellectual sharing of data and knowledge for everyone around. For the Tech Talks, we realize that every single time we have come up with a topic that is not just about the here and now, but about the future and the what and how. So not just the here and now, but about the future and the what and how, which is why for this purpose in particular, the talk that we arranged today was about a very specific topic. Post-pandemic, we know that a lot of businesses have had to have digital transformation and they had to go on cloud. However, that in itself opens a lot of risks with every new step that we take towards digital transformation. We also need to ensure safety and security for all our data, for sensitive information, and for all the business intelligence side of things. As we progress further, let me first introduce our co-moderator for the session, Mr. Hasan Zuberi, who's a very active member. He's working with EliteVAD in Dubai with us, but he's been looking after the MENA region. He is someone who has considerable industry experience, and he has been a regular at our shows. He's one of the most active members, and we're very honored to have you here. Let me also tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that the CxO Talks have been a collaborative effort with Hasan Zuberi, and he has been very forthcoming. And I know when I see someone with passion, he is someone who's extremely passionate about the sharing of knowledge and information. So thank you, Hasan, for joining us. This Tech Talk, we have with us the Business Development Manager of the MENA region, that's Middle East, Turkey, and Africa, Dimitris Raekos of VMRAY. So Dimitri, welcome to the show. Thank you for taking out time for us.
Thank you very much for inviting me here, and I hope to have a very good conversation with you today.
Absolutely. So Dimitri, so first things first, right? So before we go on to what VMRAY does, there are a lot of buzzwords in the market these days, and one of the buzzwords is malware, right? So what exactly is malware? Why is it such a big security concern for businesses around?
So malware is a broad term, is a blanket word, let's say. So it's any kind of software, code, or script that is designed to harm or exploit devices, services, or networks. So under this umbrella word, we can have the most common things like viruses, worms, Trojans, ransomware, and the naming of this, let's say malware, it is taken based on what they do or how they spread. For example, worms are typically taking advantage of network vulnerabilities, like a few years ago with WannaCry crypto attack. And they spread Trojans, they imitate legitimate software, or for example, ransomware. It's called ransomware because the creator of this malware is asking for some ransom. So we have different namings, but in order to include everything under one, let's say, name, we call it malware. So nowadays, the most common ways that the malware is spread is through phishing emails. So phishing emails are by design malicious too. So they include most probably a link for a user to download something or have an attachment, or they have a link to go to a website. So in that website, The attack can happen by stealing credentials of the users or downloading some malicious files. So it is very important for any organization, small or large, to train its employees in order to have some kind of cybersecurity awareness, because phishing can be complicated and it's not always easy for cybersecurity companies to be able to detect it, because they can easily fall in the trap of false positives. So when an organization is a victim of a cyber attack, especially if we're talking about private organizations, the first thing we need to have in mind is that we're going to have some financial impact. Cyber attackers, they do what they do because they follow the money. Okay, so if, for example, an organization is infected with ransomware, they might need to pay this ransom to get their data back or to avoid their data to be leaked in anywhere over the internet. Of course, it's a quite bad idea to pay ransoms, because in that way you fuel that specific illegal economy. And not only that, you are also becoming a potential target for newer attacks in the future. Of course, data loss that can happen due to an attack can lead also to fines from regulatory authorities. Imagine, for example, an airline to lose customer data, and these customers are European Union citizens. There, the European Union might apply certain fines that can go even $20 million, I think, for this data loss, especially if it is not something that it is encrypted. So there is a financial cost always. And of course, when a company or a large organization has an attack and this become public, we're talking also about bad reputation. So all of these things, including the business continuity disruption, they can lead to a financial loss to any organization. When it comes to governments, to governmental organizations, there we might have different consequences in political ways or diplomacy. So it is very, very important, all these organizations, to consider their cybersecurity strategies, and especially when it comes to budgeting, to allocate the proper budget to the people that are responsible for that job, in order to have the best technologies and also the best services offered to them.
Right, absolutely. You have made some very pertinent points, Dimitri. But when we do talk about, security concerns, like you rightly pointed out, it's not just the public sector that's affected, but also the private companies. And I do remember a few years ago, I know I was working for a company and they were very badly hit with such malware through a phishing email, asking one of the employees for a job. They hacked all the data of the company, and then they were actually asking for cryptocurrency in return. So there was no money trail. So yes, it is something very common, and of course a very big concern. We know that so there are some very good solutions available, and one of them happens to be based in Sandbox technology. So before we go on further, I would like to also, since you elaborated so well about malware, could you please explain to us what Sandbox technology is and what are the implications of it?
Okay, I will start a bit differently. So companies nowadays, they do have a lot of layers of protection inside their networks. They might have an endpoint security, they might have a firewall, web filtering, web gateways, mail gateways. Larger organizations, they might have threat intelligence solutions. So the problem with most of these layers of protection is that they can detect known threats, known malware, let's say, to simplify it. But what is happening when we have advanced persistent threats, when we have zero-day attacks, and what we do when we have a target attack. Because these technologies, most probably, they will not be able to anticipate. So there, we need to have a sandbox technology in our organization. Of course, not all sandbox technologies are the same. There are technologies that they have always pros and cons. Now, what is a sandbox? A sandbox is an isolated, a protected environment that we can execute potentially unsafe samples in order to reveal their behavior and decide if it is malicious, suspicious, or clean. After the sandbox decides if something gives a verdict, then produces a report. This report includes different information about the behavior and the activity of this sample inside the environment that would detonate it. Lastly, what is the expectation from customers is to receive the indicators of compromise. So the indicators of compromise are those things like IP addresses, hashes, maybe compromised mail servers that they can take and they can consume them to other systems they have inside their network, like firewalls, threat intelligence, endpoint security solutions, and more. So this is the job of the sandbox. So it's an additional layer of protection that is gonna detect those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5% of the malware that exists out there that traditional solutions cannot detect. However, we need to keep in mind that there are no silver bullets in cybersecurity. As in everything, attackers know that these kind of technologies like sandboxes are used by enterprises or by SMEs, or even SMBs nowadays. So they're always trying to find ways to evade, to bypass this kind of activity, this kind of analysis. How they do that? The most of the times, sandboxing technologies are based on virtual machines. So one of the things that the attacker can do is to check, the sample can check, am I inside a virtual machine? If I'm inside a virtual machine, maybe I don't want to execute because most probably I'm inside the sandbox and it's not a good idea to reveal my capabilities. Sometimes SAMs are able to detect also the presence of the sandbox technology inside the analysis environment. Other times, they understand that this operating system that they're executing the specific operating system, it's not a real one. It's missing things. It's missing mail clients. It's missing drivers, graphical drivers. It's missing messengers. So they might say, this is not a real environment. I'm in a monitoring environment. And they do other things. They check time differences. They use time bombs. For example, the malware is executed but doesn't do anything. It is waiting 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 1 hour, because sandboxing technologies can time out. Other things they do is they wait for the user to do some interaction, to click a button, to type something. And keep in mind that sandboxing technologies are automated systems. Of course, you have the options sometimes to do it manually on the system, but typically this is an automated thing. Other times, the malware or the sample, better, because we don't know if it is a malware when we do the analysis, might wait for a system reboot or is looking for specific target system. For example, when we have a target attack in the Middle East, for example, they might be looking for an IP address of Saudi Arabia. If the sandbox is on the cloud, for example, is in Germany or is in the USA, the IP is not a Saudi Arabian one, so it might not execute. Or they try to find specific domain names, keyboard layouts, languages, and other things. And finally, because also sandboxing technologies are some kind of software, they might have also vulnerabilities. Therefore, attackers might try to find ways to blind the sandboxes by creating a lot of traffic and doing other things. So Sandbox is an amazing technology that is very important for any organization that is looking to upgrade their security posture. But always there are ways that malware creators, the cyber attackers, are creating in order to bypass them. The good news is that at VMRAY, we address the most of these ways that attackers trying to use in order to bypass such technologies.
One of the concerns, Dimitri, here comes that you did mention where the current tools have their shortfalls, right? What are their shortcomings? And you said that this is where VMRAY comes in. Now, how exactly does VMRAY work, right?
Okay. First of all, when it comes to shortcomings, these are not exactly shortcomings. Shortcoming is the inability of a sandbox to the method that is using to detect evasive threats. Okay, this is one. The other thing that we can say is that many sandboxing technologies, they do have inaccurate results. So the report they produce doesn't give the full visibility to the user, to the malware analyst, for example, or to the incident responder. And also, these reports can have a lot of noise. What I mean noise, so when you have an attack in a system, the report is very good to record things that are relevant to the specific attack. But there are many, many reports out there that they include information like noise that is not relevant. And we live in a time that the most of the people, especially working in security operations centers, they're juniors, it's something quite new. So they're not experienced. So it's a very good idea, these people, to receive some kind of report, some kind of malware analysis that is going to help them to upgrade their skills. Okay, so it's very important to have very clear reports of the analysis. And finally, one of the drawbacks of many, many sandboxing technologies out there is that it's very difficult for them to scale. And this makes them compromise their efficacy, their detection capabilities. Okay, so these are the main reasons that sometimes clients are not happy with the sandbox technologies they're using and they're challenged. This is just to finish with the previous, yes.
Right. Dimitri, you've made a very valid point, and how VMRAY can best use sandbox technology. We totally agree with it. But what makes VMRAY uniquely evasion resistant? Like, what is so special about it?
Okay, before describing why VMRAY is evasion resistant, we need to discuss what are the most common methods, technologies that sandboxing vendors are using out there. After we do that, it's going to be more clear to you and the audience how we differentiate. Now, first of all, out there in the market, there are two main ways of sandboxing, two main sandboxing technologies. One is emulation, and the other is hooking. So when it comes to emulation, emulation means that I emulate the operating system or I emulate the hardware in order to execute the sample there. So this is having a high computing complexity, the emulation. It means that it requires a lot of a system with very good performance, and it will lead whatsoever to a poor performance. So it's going to be very slow. So one of the ideas of sandboxing is to analyze the samples in a timely manner. So maybe we need 2-3 minutes to do the analysis and provide our feedback to the team, because we need to minimize the dwell time of the attacker inside the network. So using emulation, typically, you're going to have delays due to the technology. Now, what the people creating this technology are doing typically is they're trying to find shortcuts or simplify the analysis in order to be faster. This leads to poor analysis reports, leads to reports that they are not proper for the users. And at the same time, because of the technology, emulation is very easily bypassed because the attacker might be able to see timing differences between the emulated, let's say, operating system and the native system. So in the emulation, we have two problems. We're visible to the malware, so the malware might change behavior. And second, it is slow and can deliver, let's say, noisy reports, okay, or inaccurate reports better. Now, the second technology, which is used much more nowadays, is hooking. So this guy said emulation is slow and has XYZ problem. Let's find a different way to do this activity. So what they do is they hook to specific APIs of the target operating system. So they monitor what is happening between the sample and these APIs that are typically related to security incidents. And they monitor and they decide if the activity is malicious or not. There we have a problem. What is the problem? That this is an agent-based technology. It means that the technology of the sandbox, it is inside the detonation environment. Therefore, it's very visible to the malware. And if the malware is evasive, we'll be able to understand that it's monitored, and there will exit. And if the malware will exit, how the sandbox will know if this is malicious or not? We'll never know. Okay, and also will not have a full analysis. So emulation is good, is fast. However, it's visible to the malware, and because you don't have visibility to the whole operating system, but only to specific APIs, you don't get the full picture of what is happening. Now I will go to VMRAY. So VMRAY founders, a few years ago, they said emulation doesn't solve the problem. Hooking doesn't solve the problem. What we should do? So they decided to do something else. They said, why not to put our technology to the hypervisor level? So we have the operating system. We have the hypervisor that is able to manage virtual machines. And also there is some technology called virtual machine introspection that is available. And we are able to monitor what is happening inside the detonation environment, which is typically a virtual machine, from outside. Therefore, there's not going to be any chance the sample, when it is executed, to know that it is monitored by VMRAY. So through this technology, we have access to the memory, we have access to the CPU in order to record whatever is happening inside the system, but also we're able to manipulate all these things. So for example, if the attacker is trying to see, the time in my virtual machine now is 10 a.m. in the morning, but the time on my physical server, it's 12, or it's 6 a.m. in the morning. So why this is happening? So we can manipulate everything when sitting on the hypervisor level. This is something that is impossible to be done with other technologies. So our technology is totally agentless. Therefore, we are not detected by the malware. And also, we have full visibility on whatever is happening to the system. And on the outside, and also, of course, we are sitting below kernel level. It means that we are able to detect things that maybe they're not detectable by other technologies. Now, to say that in a very simple way, I use usually an example. So let's say I'm a theft. I want to go to a supermarket or a grocery store and steal cookies. Okay, I go inside, I go to the shelf, I put my hand to grab the cookies, but I see on top a camera. Okay, what I'm going to do if I'm smart, if I'm evasive, let's say, I will lift back the cookies, I will go to the counter, I might buy some gums, and I will go out. So the security systems of this supermarket, they will never say that I was some guy, some malicious person, let's say. So at VMRAY, the guy goes inside the supermarket, goes to the cookies, takes the cookies, puts them in his jacket, and goes out. So when he's going out, we're going to detect him, okay? Because our camera is behind us. And the attacker, the theft, cannot see them, okay? And we can see everything. And that is why we use the name VMRAY. Comes from virtual machine and X-rays, because we can see from outside, okay? So there are other things that make our technology important. For example, although we have our solution works both on cloud and on-prem, we do offer different ways for clients to make the systems look realistic. For example, when a client is using our solution on-prem, they're able to upload to our system their own golden images. So the detonation of the files will happen to the same operating systems that they use inside their network. When it is on the cloud, we're able also to help them do VPNs with their country, okay, in order to have a proper IP address, and also to run pre-scripts and manipulate the system to look like them, okay? And there are many things. For example, I told you before that it is important a Sandbox to be able to reboot, because the malware might reveal malicious activity after a reboot. So there are these and many other things that anybody can have a talk with us in another time.
Absolutely. Right. Dimitris, so unfortunately, we are coming towards the end of our session. And I would like to ask you that what are the future plans? What are the new verticals that you're looking into getting into? And maybe just sum up this discussion.
Okay. Just to tell you that VMRAY, it is a German company. We have our office in Bochum. We also have an office in the United States, but only last year we started, more officially going out of these markets and growing globally. So that is why I'm based in Middle East myself, in order to manage the Middle East, Turkey, and Africa region. And when it comes to the target markets and industries, we don't have really a target market when it comes to the industries. Yes, the most of our clients coming from the financial sector, coming from government, coming from consultancy. Actually, we have, I think, 6 out of 7 of the biggest consultancy companies, they use VMRAY anyway already. We work with telecommunication companies, we work with technology companies, many cybersecurity vendors that are using VMRAY internally, to tell you. Right. So we don't have a specific industry. What we are looking is to have organizations that becoming more mature in order to understand and embrace our technology. And with the newest, and what we're trying to do is, we want to be a sandbox solution in the middle. So we want to integrate with different other solutions in order to enhance them. So we want to integrate with EDR solution, with SOAR solutions, with SIEM solutions, with threat intelligence solutions, with your firewall, with anything that can be integrated with an API, and be the solution that's going to be able to detect this 1 or 2% of the samples that they're not detected by other technologies. So our job is not to replace anything in a network of a client, but to enhance existing technologies. So our clients, yes, they're on these industries that I told you, but we do have clients in any industry, and especially if the industry is or the company is critical. Okay, so it doesn't matter if it is 1,000 users, 10,000 users, or it is 10 users organization at the end of the day. What is important is how critical is the organization and how seriously they are about cybersecurity.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dimitri, for summing this up. And it has been an absolute pleasure. I would like to ask you, I don't know if you've read much about who we are and what we do, but in your personal opinion, why do you think forums like CxO Global Forum are important?
I think at this point of time, and I meet a lot of people, because we have a very nice technology, and people, they like to see all this analysis and all this memory dumps and pickups and all these crazy words that you can see in an analysis. There are many junior people out there. There are people coming from the universities and they need to learn. So this kind of discussions, they're helping people, especially if the discussion is spoken in simple words. I try to speak as simple as possible. They're very important for these guys that they're looking to learn, and also even for more senior people, but senior in IT, but not senior in cybersecurity, because IT and cybersecurity is not the same thing in the end of the day. So these kind of talks are really important for everybody in order to improve the cybersecurity defense in our region.
Right, absolutely. Thank you so much, Dimitri, for your time. And it has been an honor and a privilege for those of you who want to invest in or learn more about VMRAY technology. We will be sharing the website and Dimitri's LinkedIn with you later on. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. I'm just going to ask Mr. Hasan Zuberi to quickly close the session by giving his 2 cents on the topic.
Thanks, Anza. Thanks very much, Dimitri. Thanks for providing EliteVAD and Dimitri from VMRAY for this session. I just wanted to share some information here, like what Dimitri said, that malware itself is not, it's a very broad-based term. A very small part of it is cryptojacking also. And cryptojacking, you'll be surprised that one airline in the region, I won't take the name due to certain concerns, their website was being used for cryptojacking. The crypto tokens were installed when they discovered. And secondly, I also give you the information that the global loss due to any malware or breach attack, it's a total sum, will be about $10.5 trillion by 2025, it's predicted. Likewise, Dimitri said in the start that it's a complete other economy where the money goes because they have financial concerns. Out of the 11 malware attacks or the biggest attacks, cybersecurity attacks, the minimum amount lost was $2 billion. So you can well understand how big of a concern. The maximum can be $10 billion or $20 million. But the minimum is $2 million, which was detected due to a malware attack. So this is a bit of concern, and with the technologies like VMRAY, we can really safeguard and the concerns and the companies and the enterprises or the customers which are really concerned with their customer data and want to protect it, they need such kind of technologies. Thank you.
Right. Thank you so much, Mr. Hasan Zuberi, for your 2 cents on the topic. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. We will join you again next time with another very special guest on another episode of CxO Tech Talks. Till then, if you want to learn more about us, please log on to www.cxoforum.global and keep us updated with your feedback. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you, Dimitris.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.